numbers of jobs are a function of the services required. You don't employ out of pity, you employ out of... And that is why, by the same logic, you don't pay wages because you are worthy. You pay wages because the laborer has worked. Now, all the schools we have built, hundreds of them, when I went Godfathers, I built 160 schools in that particular area, and I listed the name of the schools and their location. Those are done by workers, not foreign workers, Nigerian workers, and they are in thousands. All the roads we have constructed, everything we've done, but direct employment in terms of the public service, we employed by 2008. My predecessors had a general embargo on employment. First, it doesn't make sense to have an embargo. You can say don't employ more than you need, but you don't forbid employment in all sectors. The embargo, we employed in 2010, we employed about 200 workers. 3 months ago, we got some professors to, after that encounter, which happily you didn't mention, when I had an encounter with a teacher who could not pronounce the word affidavit. I realized that there were too many wrong people in the classrooms, and I also realized that nobody employed himself. These are people employed, quote unquote, after interview. I realized the problem was politicians appointing their political followers as teachers, and therefore many of them couldn't teach. Now we recruited a panel, a group of professors, to carry out interview that was computer-based interview to enable us identify with particular emphasis of science teachers. And I believe 3 months ago we employed another 200. Now, in trying to understand the level of employment, don't limit it to the number of people employed in the public sector. Public sector can't create all the jobs. In fact, public sector, if you don't get your employment policy right, you will find yourself in the kind of situation that many of our governments are in. For example, I am not able to understand, and I'm serious about this. Under President Obasanjo, with Okoje-Iweala as minister, we were told about 20,000 ghost workers have been uncovered, and over 50 billion naira spent on ghost workers. These are ways that are unique to Nigeria. I have never heard anywhere where human beings count ghosts. In Nigeria, they are not only counted, even the amount they consume is published. And you know what? Nobody was tried or convicted. The ghost left, the ghost money, but the money was not ghost, the money was real. And he left. Okoje-Iweala came back under Jonathan, and he said they've done biometrics. They've again uncovered how many thousands of ghost workers. They consume over 100 billion. We thought that was the end of ghosts. The new Minister of Finance, few months back, uncovered ghost workers. I don't know how much those ones are consuming. Now, this is clear fraud being described in funny terms. So, I thought I should make that point because it's part of the problem that governments are dealing with at all levels, federal, state, and local government. When you build fraud into salary administration and you explain it as ghost worker, truth is Ghosts are not employable, ghosts don't work, and ghosts are not visible. It's pure fraud. And if you eliminate that fraud and pay only those who really work, you will find that the wage burden or the wage as an element in cost structure is still relatively insignificant. And I believe the public sector people are grossly underpaid, even at the highest level of director of grade level 17. When you recognize that before you become a director in the public service, you are put in about 30 years or more, and you'll be over 50 years of age. And therefore you have a wife, hopefully 4 children. If you are disciplined as myself, 5 children. At least for now. So I think we lifted the embargo with the pressure of people. But some people have said to me, you should employ more hands. No. You employ the numbers you need. And that leads me to one question that somebody asked about public sector productivity. The word productivity is a problematic concept, but we don't have to go into all the academic rigor. Simply, it's relating your input to your output. Now, if the authorities in the public service, using whether the Civil Service Commission or by whatever level it is done, choose to employ 100 number of persons to do a job that 10 people can do, these 10 people, the fact that they are now 100, will not increase the work available to them. And so when you now say public service workers are not productive, yes, no. Yes, because the employing authority did not define the number in relation to the job to be done. We employ by habit. And because every government wants to bring in its own friends and relatives and political associates. So it's not difficult to see that there is a huge difference between productivity in the public sector compared to productivity in the private sector. Generally, the private sector people are far more efficient, they are far more productive. Reason? No private person employ one more hand than he needs, because you know you have to pay. But also, a man cannot be more efficient than his skills enable him, because the brain is like a hardware. Now you need the applications or software. It is the quality of the software and application that determine the output of a computer. So if you employ, you don't train, you don't retrain, you don't skill, you don't reskilled. In fact, modern literature on work is that in the 21st century, in a digital world, the days of long service award are gone. Every worker must be multi-skilled, because in your employment life, you won't be able to do one job for 35 years. As the character and the structure of the economy changes, so new jobs are created, and only those who can benefit from training and retraining can keep moving from one sector to another sector in pursuance of job. Even the Japanese that used to have what they call life employment system is gone. You still will be employed for life, but not by one employer. Depending on where the needs are, the sector that is growing and the sector that is diminishing. The issue of go and die, I'm happy Issa raised this, because this for me is one issue about what Nigerians often say, you know, the man is good, but the problem is with the advisors. That's what we are, some people often say. You excuse the leader, and then you say it's the people around him. For me, this is not being honest. Because in our system, other than parliament, where the speaker and the senate president are not responsible for who get elected to the house, in the executive, the president at the federal level and the governor at the state level has absolute control on who you appoint as your commissioner, who you appoint as your advisor.